Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with the Saw right here on Superlative Radio. This week, Dylan and I are going to be talking about Wandavision, episode 3, and Pennyworth, episode 2 from season 2. And that's pretty much all because there's nothing else new. But do have some more official news. I do know that WandaVision for sure is going to be 9 episodes. So I think before we were thinking 6, but it is going to be 9.
9, okay.
So that's good.
Are you going to make your comment that you made off air
About
the slowness of it?
Oh, I will. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I think that's worth mentioning. That's why I wanted you to do it.
So we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to start with Pennyworth, like we did last week. So Pennyworth. So overall, before we get into the nitty gritty, what'd you think?
Loved it again.
Yeah, me too.
It's building up nicely. It's coming to a. Well, I guess in a way, it sort of this kind of brings in what you're going to mention later about the slowness. But I like the fact that they're building.
Yeah.
To a point.
Building up.
Because they're making a story out of it. They're making it exciting.
Yeah.
It's just it's.
You watching it?
Yeah, so it's building up nicely. Yeah, it's building up very nicely, and I'm very impressed with the way that it's building up. And I'm very, I'm not disappointed. Like it's, sometimes you go into a second season. You have some series. They get into the second season and they start to do this and so far Pennyworth's not doing it.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's staying in the same. So yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I'm still eager to see it when it's coming, and I'm not going oh god, So yeah, I'm quite happy with where it's turning out. So
yeah,
yes,
it's
definitely.
pretty cool.
So overall, definitely 3 thumbs up.
Me too. I'm all for it. I think the season is going along really nicely. There's a lot of really cool aspects. Now, this episode had pretty much 2 primary stories kind of going
at the same time.
With another one in the background. Of course, there was the one with the 2 women, and then of course there was the one with him, and then there was the background one which had to do with Thomas Wayne.
That's right, exactly.
So there's, they're kind of developing everything nicely. They're going on a really good pattern. Now, I want to talk about the first thing I want to talk about is the scene between Thomas and I don't remember that guy's name, but the guy that was is he involved with the devil or whatever?
Yeah, seems to be something like that. I haven't quite figured out what it is
last
exactly.
Season,
but
he was involved with something. There was something like messed up with the devil and stuff.
Something weird.
Anyway,
but yeah.
So they meet at. Of course, they end up meeting at Pennyworth's club.
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
And
I like the line about something about all that's left is the kiss.
Yeah.
I thought that was that
like,
was.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
In this part where he's just
there you go. Yeah. So it's kind of funny that way.
It was messed up.
It is.
And then of course later on he goes to the priest. And did you see how he was?
Yes.
At the very end, he managed to right here. You'll see he managed to corrupt the priest.
Yeah, I know. So what do you
somehow?
Yeah, manage.
What
do you need?
Mean?
Yeah.
Of course that that was really good. Then there's of course
that was
the 2,
right where it ended. Actually,
yeah, it was. The 2 women, of course. There's the
what happened with her all of a sudden saving the black girl? What the hell is going on with her?
Well, I think because in the first
I didn't
episode,
expect that.
But in the first episode, right? Of course the commander or the other guy or whatever, he whipped out his dick in front of her.
That's right.
And stuff. And like he was going to rape her or whatever, and it obviously she's got some sort of intolerance for rapists, which can't say that to blame her.
No.
So,
but still, she
just helped her get away. I didn't get it either, and
it kind of freaked me out. I was like, okay, what's she like? Is she having a change of heart? Is she changed? Like what? Like she's a cruel bitch.
She is really, really she's messed in the head.
Oh yeah.
And of course, she takes her to that deserted, dilapidated part of the city or whatever. And, they're hiding out in that house. And then, of course, when the black girl gets out and runs, they encounter the 2
guys. That was
she kicks the crap out of them. And
then she finally comes back and helps her out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still,
are they still alive? Yeah, they're still alive.
Yeah,
and she walks over, kills them both.
Yeah, she's just the right cruel bitch, really.
Right there. You see them.
There,
she's like, oh. man.
It's
but she
just
is.
amazing. Like,
But,
just
I mean, she had her all holed up in the house and everything.
yeah. Like,
and,
I don't know.
You know,
I,
I
I'm
don't
not.
know.
I'm not
I
sure
don't.
where it's developing there yet, but
Yeah. Have you noticed the like I'm going to show an image of it right there. The headquarters of the Raven Union. Is that what it's called? The Raven Union? Whatever. Look how, it's got that almost like it's almost like that World War II steampunk look to it.
yeah. Well, that's because of the time.
Yeah, I know, but it's later on than World War II.
Yeah, but well, I
right?
mean, it's
Like
because it's lasted that long.
It's supposed to be what?
This is
the
like
early,
60s,
the
I think.
60s,
Yeah,
the early
this
60s,
looks like
right?
from the sound of things, it sounds like it's the early 60s.
But
I
when
mean,
you
this
look
kind
at-
of thing is still not that old from, this World War II. It's only about
No,
20 years.
no, I know. But when you look at I don't know if you know anything about steampunk, but if you look at the idea of what they've developed here, it's really it's really got that almost that World War II era look to it. At the same time as having a bit of a, like I said, a steampunk look to it. It's very Anyway, it's a very intricate kind of design and what they're doing, and of course then the other major thread was about him trying to get the money, saying he finally got enough money to go, and he was going to take his mom with him.
Then his mother gets kidnapped.
Then his mother gets kidnapped, and he has to take the money, and of course these jokers here. He
That was it was so
this part
well
right here
done.
in the
Yeah,
car.
Yeah, this was so cool.
right there, and where he's like, finally the guy's like, "Stop hitting me!" he keeps whacking him with the gun. That's a flare gun. No.
yeah.
You're right. It's a 44. Yeah.
It was really good.
He's threatening them with it, and then he leads. They drives back, and he picks up his two guys, and they all go.
And then they get in the car to it was so well done.
It was very well done, and of course he does rescue his mom. Of course they get into a shootout with the police.
Yeah, and then it turns into another cluster.
Yeah, the guys get away with his money.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, it's I don't know. They're doing a really spectacular job. Now, the other part that they only touched on briefly, but in the Raven Raven Union headquarters there, when they showed Metal Nose.
Yeah, Metal Nose. Yeah.
And he was meeting with that woman or whatever, and then
Yeah.
of course the scientists come in and they're talking about gassing people or whatever, and poison, all that stuff. Now, do you think he's actually going to back out like he said he would to her? I think he's going to actually do it. I think he's going to.
Yeah,
do it.
I'd be willing to bet he is going to do it, but that's just
This
me.
scene right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's going to do it.
I would think so.
Oh, you're right. I'll get rid of it or whatever. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's just going to look for an opportunity to gas the.
Sure, because that's what it is, But anyway, we'll see. But I think he will.
It's a very interesting world they're developing, because it's like it is supposed to be kind of a very real world thing, but at the same time it's something that's very different. Like it's like they're taking history in a completely different direction.
Sure, a whole new timeline.
Which I think is really interesting. And it's not like they're just going, okay, well, this is Pennyworth in the actual 60s in London and whatever. Like it's going off on its own whole path of creating its own world. Like I get that in the DC universe, of course, they have Gotham and they have Metropolis and they have Star City and they have all these different made-up cities that are all over the United States. But at the same time, they still have, like New York and London and like they still have all these regular cities. So it's like they're kind of taking the real world and they're twisting it into their own artificial one that's far more deviated from an actual
Well, what I find funny,
I guess it's not like the 60s Batman TV show, right? Like,
Well,
yes,
see, this is what I was
happened.
gonna
It
say.
happened in Gotham, but it didn't change the actual world in a whole, on a whole.
no, because they just
focused on Gotham.
That's right, exactly.
But this is like, it's like this. What they're doing could have repercussions for changing how the whole world would evolve.
That's right.
Right. So,
But the thing that gets me is like that Batman series in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Alfred was an old man.
yeah, it was.
Now we're talking 60s and Alfred's a young guy. There's that dichotomy
Yeah.
in between that kind of makes me laugh. I'm going, this is weird. So like that would following the Pennyworth thing, then Batman would have happened much later.
Yeah.
Not the 60s, but that whole thing would have been like maybe even today, 2020 or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
know.
it's really interesting to see how they're developing it, to see how
Well,
it's going to go.
2021, but you know what I mean.
I'm really curious to see how they're going to develop this world, because it's very different. And like we were watching it last night, and Kim said to me, she's like, what's wrong with them or whatever? Why are they trying to take over England or whatever? And I'm like, just think of them as English Nazis, because that's basically
More or
what
less.
they are.
That's a good.
You know,
yeah.
they wear the thing on their arm,
Yeah.
and they have their symbol on it, just like, and they act like they're fascists.
Yeah.
Nazis were fascist, and that's what they are. They're just basically like English Nazis.
That's actually a good term. That's
Yeah.
that's kind of accurate when
Yeah,
you look
it
at
really
it.
is.
So yeah. But anyway, yeah, so that's what it is, and I'm quite anxious to see where it's going to go.
Me too. I'm really liking the show. If you guys haven't been watching Pennyworth, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Catch up.
it is a drama, but it's, like I said before, it is based on the DC universe and DC characters, but it's not anywhere at all a superhero show. It's,
No.
it's
No, it's
just
not.
not. And it's a really entertaining show. They don't hold back. Like, I like, one of the things I have to admit, and it's one of the things I like about what they've done with Star Trek even lately, and I know we've talked about this before, is the use of language.
Yeah.
Like, they don't hold back language. And
Like we have to.
yeah, like, it doesn't make any sense to me that, you know, in certain situations, people aren't going to curse and swear and whatever. They're going to. It's just, that's what it would be.
That's what the real world is.
And the real world operates like that. Like, it's not all just like, you
Oh
know,
shucks, oh darn.
yeah,
You know? But,
So
you
I'm
know.
really kind of liking the fact that they don't hold back. They just say things as it is and whatever. And it fits. Now, I mean, it fits this better than it does Star Trek, because Star Trek has led us to the whole idea of everybody being enlightened and whatever and blah, blah, blah.
But just because you're enlightened doesn't mean you're
But-
not profane.
But, well, it kind of would.
No, because
But-
I've read studies and things that claim that people that are more intelligent swear more.
Well, that's because they got to put up with all the stupid people.
Well, yeah, but still, it's just you know they.
You know, you know, the smarter you are,
the more frustrated
the more
you are
frustrated
because of the,
because you got to deal with
that's
more
right.
idiots.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. You know,
Because you got to remember, everybody on the lower level of the IQ scale than you know.
yeah,
are
on that
basi-
bell curve again. Yeah, I know. It just. Yeah.
Some people are ringing up here, and the rest are all down here. And you know, the ones that are dinging up here can't deal with the dingers
I got
down
news.
there.
The dingers down there don't have a clapper to ding. They're just standing there going.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to tell people what they are. Yeah.
You do. I agree with that, but it's bit me in the ass more times than I'd like to.
Well,
you know,
the
you guys know for sure that I
I'm
do
just,
that.
I'm,
but
I'm,
it's,
I'm just going to say that, honestly, the smarter you are, you remember, you're dealing with.
stupider people.
And if you don't understand that level of frustration, that means you're one of the people that's causing the frustration. So
What's
if
the
you're
old
not, if you don't walk around frustrated by the state of things, you're probably the reason those of us that are frustrated
either
are
you're
frustrated.
part of the cure or you're part of the problem. There's no in between here.
Yeah. If you're one of those, I just go through life happy-go-lucky all the time, you're part of the problem.
Well, no, not necessarily. You could be stoned out of your tree and not care. That's the other side of that. See, now that's another answer. You see these people walking around, well, man, it's just so cool. Maybe they're onto something.
They are onto something. They just don't want to deal with anything.
Sometimes I don't want to deal with it either. Just want to bury my head in my pillow and tell the world, please leave me alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Anyway,
That's a whole other issue.
It is, but it very much applies here, because it's the same concept, right? Like, what you see is with these people is the ones that think they're all the smartest and whatever are doing one thing, and all the dumbasses are doing something else, and it's just, it is what it is,
Yeah, I know.
and it applies to the show. Anyway.
There it is.
That's it in a pinch. Anyway, I hope you guys are watching Pennyworth. I hope you're liking it.
See, the
know
thing
I
is,
am.
you can't write this shit. That's the problem. Because it happens. It's there.
Yeah.
You can't write it. It's just so...
So check it out. In Canada, I know it's airing on Showtime. I don't know where it airs in the U.S. But, you know,
Next life,
give
let
it
me
a
come back
watch.
as a dog.
Check it out. Yeah.
Next life, I'll come back as a dog.
And,
Yeah.
you know, comment below. Let us know what you're thinking of Pennyworth and how you're enjoying it and whatever. So, anyway, let's move on to
Oh, do you want to
WandaVision.
do your? Sorry, do you want to do your little?
WandaVision?
Yeah, your.
WandaVision.
No.
WandaVision.
No.
I know.
Your. Oh, okay.
WandaVision. WandaVision.
There you go. Oh, it's not a thing this time. There.
There it is.
Okay, there you go. He
Yeah.
likes to do his little,
Yeah.
you know.
So, WandaVision. Ow. Now, before we
Finally,
get...
we're all in color.
Yeah. And oddly enough, the episode is titled Now in Color.
Yeah, exactly.
So, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this episode and talking about it,
There's some heavy stuff going
there's some
on there.
stuff going on online. And if you're one of these people, then I'm going to tell you you're
Give him hell.
you're part of the problem today. You're one of those people causing those of us that have brains frustration.
It's funny. We're going. This. We're got a whole topic. Going
The
here. I like it.
there is this thing going on, and it's all like all over the internet. People are talking either about how they love WandaVision or they're complaining about the fact that it's a slow burn. Now, again, remember what I said at the beginning. This is going to be a 9-episode show at least. It is part 1 of a trilogy. So 9 episodes of WandaVision, Spider-Man 3, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is part 3.
You said this
Okay.
a couple of times.
So you've got to remember, it's not a slow burn. This is a trilogy. And you don't do TV the way you do movies. This is not a 3-hour movie. This is a 9 half-hour episode television show. And the concept of this show is to showcase different aspects of TV because it's the reality that Wanda or Mephisto, whichever one of them or both of them that are behind it, have created. And yes, Mephisto is the villain. I know that for a fact. It's all over. Again, I'm going to get into how there's the numerology thing in this episode all over the place too, and even bigger analogies to him. But it's not a slow burn for the sake of being a slow burn. It's got to build up the fact of, and you see it in the way, like, you see it in the episode where the guy comes out of the manhole, right? She reverses time.
That's right. She says
She doesn't
no
wanna
and everything
see it.
goes back. That was last week.
Okay,
Yep,
yep.
that's right.
And then with this episode, she does it with Vision.
Mm-hmm.
Vision's talking to her right here, and she
Yep.
rewinds him.
Yep.
Okay. And then when Monica Rambeau, who plays Geraldine, okay, right here, when they're talking about the sword symbol she has hanging around her neck because she's an
Well, she
agent
made
of
the
sword.
comment. She made the
she's
comment
an
about
agent of sword. Then she makes a comment about Pietro dying
Yeah.
to Ultron. And what does she do? She throws her out of the reality, tosses her out of it. Now, you got to remember, all of this is building to something. You have to...
Okay, but you also have to realize we're living in a world
I know,
of
I'll
immediate
get there.
gratification. These
know.
people
You have
don't know
to-
how to do that.
You have to let the story build properly to tell a good story. This is the problem that I've been talking about the whole time I've been doing this show. In the last 2 seasons, I've mentioned it about Star Trek and the fact that they're rushing shit because what they've done is they've taken 26 episodes and cut it to 13 or 10 or whatever for every show they've done. So what you're getting is you're getting rushed stuff. And this is a problem that comes from you millennials because it is not a Gen Xer or before or a boomer thing because we get it. Because we
Totally.
grew up with this stuff.
That's right.
We grew up with these old shows and things like
Even our parents got
people
it.
are complaining about the fact that black and white. Look, color wasn't always a thing on TV. You know, like learn some history, read a book.
Even our parents used to go to movie theaters, and before the main movie, they'd show a serial.
Yeah.
Now, a serial is something that happens every one of those would end on a cliffhanger.
Yes, and
so that you would have to come back the next week to see what happened again.
That's right.
That's the way
they
things
did it
work.
on radio too.
Oh, big
They used
time.
to do it when they would play a radio show.
That's right.
They'd say, "Tune in next week for another exciting adventure
That's right.
of blah
and
blah
find
blah,
out
blah,
what
blah.
happens
Find out
when.
what happens."
That's
And,
right. Exactly.
like, you got to understand, serialized storytelling is as old as the human race. And the reason that this show is doing things the way it's doing it is because it's a throwback to that stuff.
right.
And it's building.
You
and
give him hell, Tiger.
And it's showing, it's building towards a bigger goal. You just have to sit and wait. Now, this episode did give us a little bit more.
Oh, gave it more, but it's still giving what we need.
And, you know, you have to understand this is where things are. This is the... Kevin Feige is probably... I think he's in his late 40s, so...
Okay, so he's...
Late 40s or early 50s.
So he's aware of
okay?
what happened before.
So he grew up, like, when he created the idea for the show, he said it was because he grew up watching these shows.
Yeah.
And this is what he's wanted to... You know, there's a reason Wanda has created this reality or whatever in this fashion, or Mephisto has created it in this fashion. Whatever it is, somebody has created it, and I think it's a combination of Mephisto and Agnes and Wanda, I think is what's happened. I don't know for sure, but I mean, there's a reason why it is this way, and they will get to it. You have to give them time. It's 9 episodes we got to get through. People, just watch it, enjoy it, have a laugh, because it is funny.
Oh, it has some funny parts.
And it is meant to be a play on these old sitcoms. The cheesy lines, the cheesy dialogue, the cheesy jokes, all of that stuff
is a throwback.
Is a throwback to those shows. That's what in those days people found funny.
Yeah.
Okay? So you have to look at it as not only are you getting a look back into the past, and if you think that's boring, then you're what's wrong with the world today. We wouldn't have what we have if there wasn't for the past. Okay? Everything happens for a freaking reason. Everything that it comes from somewhere. Nothing is original.
I've said this on my radio show 100 times.
Nothing is original today. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. And for those of you out there that may not know, there is only a finite amount of ways that you can produce music.
That's right. Tell them.
And they fully expect that within the next, I don't know, I think it's the next 1,000 years, there will be no way to create new music.
I heard it as 500 years.
Maybe it's 500. I'm not sure. But whatever. There will be no way to create new music.
Because everything will have already been used.
Every combination of note possible will have been done.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that there is a limit to things. That's why, I mean, why do you think we have reboots of things? Why do you think they did the reboot of Star Trek with J.J. Abrams? Why do you think we get all these, renewals of old shows and things?
It was 1,000 years, but when Eddie Van Halen came onto the scene, he
Cut it in half.
Okay. See, that's what
That
it was.
must be what it is. So
Way to go, Eddie.
yeah, thanks, man. Ruin it for everybody, Van Halen. Yeah, no, but that's the idea. Is you have to understand that everything is a ripoff of something else. I mean,
At
how
some
many
point,
superheroes are ripoffs of other superheroes? How many of this is, or how many of that, or how many? There's just so many things before. To come up with something original is hard. And anybody who's creative will tell you that.
Yep.
And so this show is a slow burn for a reason, because they're trying to lay the groundwork for A, a trilogy, and B, a decent TV show.
And you got to give them that.
And
There's so much shit out there right now that...
This is easily one of the best things Disney has produced in freaking years. It's right up there with The Mandalorian, and it's right up there with the Marvel movies that they've done. It's good. You just have to give it time, and you have to watch it.
But
and
you have to watch it with the right eyes.
First of all, I get that there are people out there that are probably only Marvel fans from the movies. Okay? You came along when Avengers launched in 2012 in the movie theaters, and you're like, oh, cool, look, they got Iron Man, Captain America. But you've never read a comic book in your life. Okay? Fine. I get that there's those fans. And those fans may not get that. But everything that's happening...
That's me.
Everything that's happening in these episodes everything has a correlation to the comic books. Okay, you got to remember, these are comic book characters. They're not television characters. They're not movie characters. They're comic book characters that are being portrayed on film. And they're doing it in a way that's... There's a reason why the MCU is as successful as it is, because they're doing it right. Are they slavishly obeying the comic books? No. But there's a reason why the X-Men films suck and the Marvel ones don't. And there's a reason why the DC films suck and the Marvel ones don't. And that reason is how they're doing them and how they're paying attention to the comics and drawing from them.
You tell them.
So you have to watch and give it the time. Now, I know I went off on a bit of a rant, but
That's fine. You're making a point.
It's just the fact that you have to understand where they're coming from and what they're doing. And all of their things are interconnected. And if you haven't gotten that by now, you shouldn't just turn it off and don't even watch it anymore. Because if you're not going to pay attention to what they're trying to do,
then don't watch.
Then just don't watch.
That's right.
Don't go online and bitch about it not being what you like or not being fast enough for you or whatever. If it's not fast enough
Just
for
go
you,
back to playing your video games.
Go back, exactly. Go back to playing your video games and watching brainless Michael Bay movies.
That's right.
Okay? Because obviously you don't understand the concept of
You don't have the brain
storytelling.
capacity to follow it, so
don't.
Go.
I mean, each episode is filled with hints and tidbits of Easter eggs of what's going on. And
No, I
I've
don't get all the-
explained-
I
and
don't
I've
get all the
explained them
Easter
in the
eggs.
first two, and I'm going to explain the ones that happen in
and
this
I'm looking
episode.
forward to hearing the Easter eggs because I
Okay?
don't catch it all.
So let's get into the actual episode. So the episode opens like this. All these octagons, okay? Now, they're not octagons. Is it not? Is six-sided octagon?
6 is octagon is 8, so it's
8.
6 is a pentagram. No, penta is 5. Square.
Anyway, the reason that these are all okay, you see how it starts with
I forget.
It's a Chrysler logo.
You see how it starts with the and it looks like it's the Brady Bunch, but instead of squares, it's these six-sided. There's a reason they're six-sided, because again, the number 6. Remember, everything has a purpose. Numerology.
Pentagon is 5. Pentagon is 5.
Pentagram is 5.
Yeah, well, pentagon, pentagram. I'm trying to remember what 6 is.
Anyway, whatever. It's like a stop sign.
No, stop sign is 8, isn't it? 7? I forget. Doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Whatever.
Continue.
Anyway,
This
doesn't
doesn't matter.
Whatever. So the fact is 6. This is our first.
Will you look
visual.
it up because it's going to drive me nuts? What is the 6?
Phone's in my jacket.
Just look it up on the computer.
Go on the iPad right there.
The computer's right there.
Oh.
Anyway, so this is our first, at the very intro, 6. Okay? It's a nod, again, to 6. And what have we been saying about sixes? 6, 6,
The
6,
devil,
6
yeah.
keeps coming up. The number of the beast. Okay? The devil. Who is the devil in the Marvel Universe? Mephisto. Okay? Now, there is... of course, the episode starts, and what is it? 6-sided, not 5.
Pentagon.
That's 5.
Sorry.
We want 6.
Hexagon.
Hexagon.
Right,
That's
hexagons.
it. Hexagonal. I knew that.
Okay, all right, I did too. Anyway, so that's the reason why they're all hexagons. It's the first nod to
Thanks, Marky G.
6. Okay, again, there's a point where you see the outside of their house. You see the number on the house, the 2800. I've explained how that
Yep, you explained that
turns
last
into
week.
6 again. Okay,
Hexagon. I knew that. I feel
know-
like such an idiot sometimes.
so in this episode, of course, they're talking about the fact that, of course, Wanda is pregnant, which we found out from the last episode, how she started
Yeah, that's
at
right.
the very end being pregnant. The doctor comes over and is like, "Oh, you're 4 months along," or whatever.
It's right in no time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, they go on with that, and then of course, the doctor says he's going off on vacation, and off they go, or off he goes, or whatever, and the
Tries
episode
to go.
starts to progress. And you see, then you see this scene where Vision is outside, and he looks over and he sees Agnes and the colored fella. I can't remember his name.
You think she plays into this?
Oh,
Agnes?
yes, I do know. She's an actual Marvel character. That's mystical.
Okay.
She actually is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. Okay. Thank you.
So she's talking to the colored fella. No. I think I'm talking about before where he's cutting through the. I think it's before he's cutting through the cement wall.
Yeah, with the hedge
with
trimmer.
the hedge trimmer. Now,
Yeah.
if you look behind him, everything behind him is fake. Like it looks fake. It doesn't even look like it's like it's a TV set. It's
That's right.
crazy.
It's like it's a painted background.
Yeah,
exactly.
And
you can see that.
You know,
It's
the
just,
fact that
it's
he's cutting through a cement wall with a hedge trimmer, which is impossible. Which goes on to talk about how it shows. It's another one of those imageries of how everything is fake. And, you know, Vision doesn't think anything of it. But the next time you see Vision talking, you see Agnes and him talking. And
he almost tells him
he
something.
almost tells Vision what's going on. He says, we're all. And now he's either going to say one of two things. He was either going to say before Agnes stopped him, he was either going to say, we're all trapped, or we're all being watched. And
thanks, Marky G.
we know they're all being watched because as of the end of the very first episode, we saw it zoom out
That's right.
to a guy sitting looking at a TV console with all the readouts
right.
beside it,
Watching all the shit
the
going
show
on. Yeah.
going on. So we know they're being watched. Now, he was either going to say we're all watched or we're all trapped.
But she stopped them. She wouldn't let him say
No,
it.
she didn't. Yeah, Agnes stopped him.
Yeah.
Agnes stopped. Said, no, whatever. Now, you notice Agnes keeps referring to her husband, Ralph, who we never see.
Yeah.
Okay? She's referred to him in every episode, but we have not seen him. The reason I believe that is because Ralph is actually Mephisto.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
Okay.
that's what I think. And then, now I don't know if I'm right or I'm wrong, but that's what I think.
Interesting concept.
So, you know, she knows a little bit about what's going on. She does.
Well, if she's...
And Wanda knows a bit about what's going on.
Now she's catching
Okay.
on a little bit.
So Geraldine comes to visit, and Geraldine is actually Monica Rambeau, who is the little girl from Captain Marvel, grown up. She's now an agent of S.W.O.R.D., working with Nick Fury and the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything. And she comes. She has somehow gotten into the reality, but it's...
Well, she said something about the fact that she has no husband and no home or no,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. That's what they all say about her, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, obviously coming into this reality has in some way affected her mind, either through Wanda or Mephisto or whoever's doing it. It has affected her mind because she can't remember everything. Because she starts to talk about...
Well, she says...
about Pietro
Yeah, that's right,
and
exactly.
him being killed by Ultron, and then Wanda's like, what? And, you know, it goes through the whole thing that... This is, of course, after the children are born, but, you know, she basically throws her out of the reality. And, as you can see right here, she comes flying through, and then you'll see, you know, everybody rushing to her and the helicopter flying around, and then you'll see the lights along the side, and you'll see, if you look, you'll see a shimmering...
In the back, behind
obviously,
that.
that is where this bubble reality is. And, of course, what's right out there is an old Westview sign.
Yep.
Westfield or Westview or whatever sign.
Westview, yeah.
And so, obviously, they're out, you know, S.W.O.R.D. or S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever is outside trying to figure out what the hell is going on there. And, of course, Monica, or Geraldine, I should say, had the S.W.O.R.D. logo necklace.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's so many, of course, while they're sitting there talking, this is the other thing I should get into, is while they're sitting there talking, of course, as Wanda's still pregnant, the stork walks in.
Yep.
The stork.
Comes around the...
Walking in
yeah.
behind or whatever, and Wanda keeps trying to scare the stork away or whatever, and all this. But you notice that Wanda tries to do something, and there's a big puff of red smoke.
Yep.
That's another sign to Mephisto. The red
Okay.
smoke and the stork. I think that's actually Mephisto manifesting himself. And then he goes around and he comes and he starts chomping away at Monica's pants. Now, if you notice her pants that she was wearing, which were like really awesome flares,
60s.
you know, they were 60s, but they had fish on them, right?
Didn't catch that part. Okay.
They're white with blue fish.
Okay, didn't catch that part.
And
but
there's
okay.
red blood on them.
I'll have to watch it again. I missed
right? And the stork starts picking at the fish, right? Which now you can see that as a symbol for the devil and Jesus interacting, like
Okay.
yeah, like the devil
Interesting,
picking
okay.
at the fish. And
Yeah.
anyway, there's lots of analogies there, and of course the red for the blood, and like, like it's. But the whole thing is that it's, you know, obviously, like, yes, the stork is coming and it's bringing the babies, but at the same time, it's supposed to be a reference to Mephisto. There's so much going on with the imagery in this. You know, Vision goes to get the doctor and bring him back, and the doctor, you know, the doctor before he had said he was going on vacation, and he asked him where he was going. He was Bermuda.
Yeah.
Well, what happens in Bermuda? Well, there's the Bermuda Triangle. You know, where things go and they disappear.
Yep.
But at the same time, he says, "Are you going to go on vacation like after?" And he's like, "No. You never seem to get out of here or whatever." Right?
Yeah, that's what he said.
And it's because nobody can ever seem to leave. Like,
I've had visitors like that.
and again, you notice how nobody has noticed that from the last episode to this episode, it jumped basically to the next decade.
Yep.
Again, like it's
That's right.
That's, you know, this whole aspect of what's going on. Even though things are changing constantly, it seems normal to everybody.
That's right.
Even though it really isn't. So, I mean, all the little subtleties that are there, and all the little things that they show, everything is building
Good boy.
to something that's going to be really good in a payoff way. Trust me. Just
Stick with it.
stick with it. Kevin Feige hasn't messed it up yet.
Well, usually he does pretty good work,
You know,
according to
I
what you
mean,
said. So
he hasn't messed it up yet. So, I mean, there are things where you can say, well, this movie wasn't as good as that one or whatever, but at no point can you say that any of the Marvel movies have sucked. None of them suck. They might be, some of them might be better than others, of course, but they don't suck. And overall, their story tells a pretty good thing. Do they have issues here and there where there's
who doesn't?
plot holes? Sure. Nothing's perfect, but this is as close to amazing as we've ever had in the history of television and cinema. So you have to give it a little bit of
Give it its due.
time.
Give it
and
its
you
due.
have to
Yeah.
give it a little bit of patience and watch. And understand that not everything needs to be an immediate payoff.
Nope.
Now, the two children, twins, boys, in the comics, Wanda and Vision actually did have children. It later came to find out that Wanda had created them herself. They were all, eventually, it turned out they weren't even real. And the same idea is what's going on here. Everything connects to the comics in some fashion. It gets back to that. That's why that I get, like, if you're not a fan of the comics and you haven't been, you're not going to get all of these little subtleties, which is why you need to watch shows like this or other people who talk about them. Just watch this. Don't watch the other people. Watch this. And understand that these things are all connected for a reason, and everything is. And as things go along, I will continue to explain how it is going to connect to everything else, because it will. And I will be here to point out all these little subtleties and things that people are
Which is
missing.
good because, sometimes, people like me who aren't in the same loop that you are need somebody to say, well, this will reflect something that's coming
Yeah.
later, or this was because of this or this. Like, it's nice that that's there. So
Yeah,
thank
like
you for that.
it's the whole aspect of you have to understand that there is going to be a payoff. Yes, it might be a little bit slow to get there, but it's a TV show. You can't just jump into a TV show the way you would jump into a 2 or 3 hour movie, right? Like, they have to
even on Big
storytell
Bang Theory,
different.
Sheldon, we would say, that's a commitment. to
That's
jump
right.
into a series like that. You just, that's like one of the ones where he's talking about getting into the Flash.
Yep.
He was,
It's a commitment.
That's right,
And
exactly,
When you start watching a show, you're going to watch it in the hopes that it's going to pay off.
That's right, exactly.
And you don't expect everything to happen all at once. If it did, it would be a movie.
That's right.
And
'Cause then
even movies.
Some of them don't
think
even-
think about it this way. Avengers Endgame was 3 hours.
Yep.
Okay? If WandaVision was a movie, we're only about 74 minutes in.
Yeah, really, we're not even
out of
3 hours.
3 hours, right? So out of 180 minutes, we're only not even halfway there yet.
Yeah.
So you've got to understand, if you go back and you watch Endgame, it doesn't even really pick up till the first hour and a half have gone by.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to give it time. You can't expect instant gratification. Exactly what we talked about earlier. So
Yep.
anyway, she has the two boys. I like when her water broke.
That was so funny.
This
Everything
scene right
just,
here, it just starts to pour
Yeah,
in the
everything,
house.
yeah.
And not only there, but it poured everywhere.
That's right. It did.
Like everywhere.
Well,
Rained
just like
in
the power
everybody's house.
failure when she was, everywhere. Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
So you got to
it's-
remember, whatever happens to Wanda affects the entire reality that has been created, either by her or by Mephisto, or by both of them. So it has been like everything there is happening for a reason. That helicopter piercing through in the last episode, right? All of a sudden, Monica Rambeau showing up, like the beekeeper.
that comes out of the thing. yeah.
Everything that's getting into this reality, like it's all leading somewhere. Just
Stay with it.
stay with it. You will be rewarded for it. If you're not getting a lot of the lines and the humor and whatever, that's because it comes from a time when that was how things were.
Yeah.
Okay, like
It's a throwback, and
it's a throwback, and it's very well done.
Oh yeah, it's really. Yeah. I remember a lot of the old shows, so I do remember. Like I can see how it's being true to what it was. So
And there's even more coming with throwbacks to the actual comics.
Okay, well,
Eventually.
I'll miss, but you'll
You'll notice because eventually we're going to see Wanda and Vision looking like their comic book characters. They're going to be wearing their comic book outfits.
Oh, okay.
You'll see that.
All right.
It's for Halloween, I think, or whatever. But you're going to see it. Like they're going to be dressed up as Scarlet Witch and Vision from the comic books. Like it's, like you're going to see these things. You've seen them in the previews. You'll see it here. It's going to happen. You're going to see all these little things come about and pay off. So give it some time. Enjoy it for what it is. Leave a comment. Tell us what you're thinking of it.
Yeah.
If you think that we're just full of crap, or you think that no, we're right on the money, but really, you got to understand that not only is it 9 episodes that we've got to get through, so it's got to build up. It's also
got to lead into the movies.
got to lead into
Yeah.
Spider-Man, and it's also got to lead into Doctor Strange. And we know Elizabeth Olsen is co-starring in Doctor Strange too. So it's not like
So
she's
there's
only
a-
gonna. It's not like she's even gonna have just a small part. She's gonna be a big part of that movie. There's also rumors she's going to be in Spider-Man 3. Elizabeth Olsen even hinted at it herself. With you never know where she's gonna pop up.
Well, there you go. So you see, it's all.
There's even rumors that the Loki series is going to connect to this in some way, which is entirely possible. There's also now rumors going around about Captain America coming back to the MCU. That Chris Evans has been in talks for a return for several more appearances in the Marvel Universe.
Wow. Okay, that's good.
So, there's also rumors that WandaVision is going to help it. Between WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we're going to see how mutants are introduced, so how the X-Men will come into the Marvel Universe. So there's lots of things you've got to watch for.
Wow. So everything will sort of tie in together.
Everything is going to connect. So
I like it.
yeah, it's just things are going to be what they are. You got to give them time. You got to give them, the opportunity to build things, because you got to remember, look at way back when we first saw the very first Iron Man.
What, sweetie?
Okay,
What's the matter?
they didn't know that they were going to eventually build to this. They had no idea it would go it would be successful or not. They didn't know it. When John Favreau and Kevin Feige sat down and thought that up, they had no idea it was going to be this successful. They had no idea this was what was going to happen. You know, they did Iron Man, then they did The Incredible Hulk, and then they did Iron Man 2, and then they did Thor, and then they did Captain America, and then they did The Avengers. And when they hit The Avengers, they were like, wow, this is really working. And what happened when they did The Avengers? Then Disney was like, oh, hey, we're going to buy Marvel because look at what they're doing. You know, and it started to build, and they started to lay the foundations for so many things. And again, you got to remember when Endgame happened and Spider-Man Far From Home came out after, that was the ending of the first 3 phases. That was it. It was like a boom. The first 3 are done. Now they're starting basically with Iron Man again. You know, only not Iron Man, but they're starting back at the beginning. This is phase 4. And phase 4 is going to lead to build up to new villains. I mean, Thanos is gone, so they're going to have a... Loki's no longer a villain. They're going to have to build up to other villains. So who are we going to see? Well, we're going to see Doctor Doom. We're going to see, the Green Goblin. We're going to see, Galactus. We're going to like all these other villains that are going to come into. We're going to see in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumanium, we're going to see, what the frig is it? The High Evolutionary, or I think is who he is, or whatever. Or no, I'm thinking of somebody else. Oh, frig, the guy from the future. Anyway, the villain who's going to be in that is like Reed Richards, like a bazillion time great grandson or whatever from the future, like 1,000 years in the future. So that's obviously going to connect to the Fantastic Four. Like, all of these things are going to be combined. They're all going to interconnect. We still haven't even figured out how...
It doesn't sound like we even scratched the surface yet.
No, not even at all. You know, obviously, Mephisto or Nightmare is going to be the villain of Doctor Strange too. You know, so we have to understand how it's all going to connect. You have to give time to do that. That takes building.
Takes time. Yeah.
And, you know, like we're going to, you know, we know... that the Fantastic Four is coming. We know the X-Men are coming. Well, if the X-Men are coming, then that means Magneto is coming. Well, Magneto is the father of Scarlet Witch. He's the father of Quicksilver. Yeah, Quicksilver is dead now, but I mean, maybe this is going to explain how Magneto has been around but been hiding out because maybe, you know, that's why Scarlet Witch thought he was dead. You know, he's a mutant, one of the most powerful mutants. He's going to... You know, like they have to explain all these things. They're going to explain how Wolverine has been around because Wolverine is still part of... He's called, in the weapon program, he's called Weapon X, or they call him Weapon X, but it's actually Weapon 10 because X for the Roman numeral 10, right? Captain America was Weapon 1. They're all part of the same program. Like it all connects. Everything does in some way from the comics into these shows. It's going to connect into these movies. So that's why, if you really want to know, that's how we're going to talk about it here. We're going to explain how it all connects. We're going to talk about how we enjoyed it. I mean, I know, like, Kim watches WandaVision with me. She watches the Marvel movies with me. She is only, like you, one of those fans who has been presented to it from what they see on screen. Yeah. And she loves WandaVision. She thinks it's great.
I'm enjoying it very much.
So maybe it's because of our age. I don't know, the fact that we're Gen Xers and baby boomer in your case.
Yep.
You know, that we get that. But if you're younger than that and you're not getting that ideal, then really give a good look at it and watch it because you will pick up the subtleties if you're paying attention. You will see the payoff, I guess. So.
And the only other thing that I can add to it, for you to add to your enjoyment, do a little research, do some history, look back, watch some of the old shows, another one. Ooh, there you go. You got 2 this week. So, give it that. Look back and look at some of the old, like the first one was based on the old Dick Van Dyke Show. Yeah. Watch one of the episodes or 2 of the episodes. Get a feel for what it was.
And why it was that way.
That's right.
And not only that, but Google Wanda and Vision. Like, actually Google the Scarlet Witch and Google, or if you don't want to use Google, whatever. But like, go online and look at. You can read old comic books online. You can see like, look at these characters and see where this comes from. You know, go to the Wikipedia page on them. You can see their history. You can read it.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Get a feel
This
for
isn't
it.
the first time Wanda has created a fake reality. It isn't the first time she's done something to reality. So, I mean, it's all there. It's all going to pay off. Just give it time.
There you go.
Anyway, that said, I thought it was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it.
Likewise.
Looking forward to the next one. And, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Don't forget to check out our
Leave your
other
comments,
stuff.
please.
Yep. Leave your
Let us
comments
know.
below. Don't forget to check out our other stuff. And coming up in a couple of weeks will be All in the Pen's second episode.
That's right.
Look for that the first Saturday in February.
Yeah, that'll be coming up then.
Each new episode of that will be the first February of first February.
Yeah, what was
The
it?
first Saturday of every month.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yes, it comes out on the first Saturday of every month. So check it out on our YouTube page and
subscribe,
comment, share it. I hope you really like what we're doing with All in the Pen. So
We got some good stuff coming up with that too.
if you haven't,
It's developing more as it goes.
yeah,
as
if you
a lot
haven't
of
checked
things
it out,
do,
just
but
if you're watching this on YouTube, seriously, just click on our thing. The playlist is there. You can
have a little look see and give it a shot because it like a lot of things, it gets better as it goes along.
That's right.
And
we're telling a story there too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. The things are developing that way, and it's like again, like he said, with it all takes time to
That's
develop
right.
characters and get things going, which is part of what we're trying to do.
Yeah. So
And
give it a
but
watch.
yeah,
Check it out.
So have fun with it.
Comment below. Otherwise, we will catch you guys next week for another episode right here on Superlative Radio. Thanks so much for watching.
See you later, guys.